and arguably Europe's match of the weekend, the one that everyone is talking about, Napoli versus AC Milan, and taking you through that is Michael Lahoud and Nico Cantor. Boys, how much are you looking forward to this one?
From the Stadio Diego Armando Maradona, it should be a fun one, Sam. We're taking a look at all 22 players. Napoli, you'll walk us through that, Lahoud, but it's going to have some variation because it all depends on David Neres' fitness. But for the meantime, let's look at Milan. There's not too many doubts of what we're going to see this weekend, right? Maybe in the midfield between Fofana, Loftus-Cheek, and Bondo,
yeah.
Right? Loftus-Cheek has just come back from injury on the other side of the international break. So he's had this week and a half to be match fit. He's better than Bondo in theory, or maybe we might see him next to Fofana. Yeah. More likely than not, Fofana should start either Loftus-Cheek or Bondo in, but this is a team with Pulisic on the right, Leao on the left, Reinders at the 10. Reinders is key to all of this, and I'm glad Conceição has realized, other than forcing Joao Felix to get minutes, we were asking on Champions Cup, we were asking ourselves, he has to play because his name is Joao Felix, or are we going to look at the way that he's playing and we're going to decide if he's good enough to start? And Reinders has proven that he's key to this team.
Yeah, no, he's, in my opinion, he's the best midfielder in Serie A this season. His importance to Milan cannot be understated. And I love that you're pointing out, and I love that we're seeing him in this attacking midfield position, because when we saw matches like they played against Madrid, he was put higher up the field, and when he's closer to goal, for club and country, it results in big goals. And we see Tammy Abraham up there. What are your feelings on Tammy and his contribution for a match like this?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. And it's going to be very important to see how Napoli lines up, because Santi Giménez has an ankle issue after Nations League. He's coming to Milan. We'll see if he's able to incorporate himself at a competitive rate. If Napoli, we'll get to the tactics in just 1 second, but he's going to need a lot of help with the defense, because Napoli, Lahoud, might not play this 4-3-3 because of Neres.
Yeah, David Neres, he's been the big reason why they've had a massive drop-off. You go back to the match that he had against Fiorentina, which I thought was a big coming-out party for him, much like the David Neres that we saw under Erik ten Hag at Ajax, where his ability to go at players 1v1 is such a good compliment to Romelu Lukaku. And when I saw the match where they played against Inter, they end up 1-1. They could have done with a player like Neres, because it was just missing that bit of quality to go against Inter's back line, which looked like they were on the defibrillator till the 90th minute, and they were very fortunate to get out of there 1-1 at the Diego Armando Maradona Stadium. Matteo Politano, he's been utilized as a wing-back, and that's not his strength for club or country. He really needs to step up big time, but it's in the midfield that there's a lot of question marks. Zambo-Anguissa.
Yeah.
Billy Gilmore's been deputizing there. Zambo-Anguissa, he's been a difference maker this season, much like the Scudetto winning season. Right. A Zambo-Anguissa that gets forward and gets goals is a Napoli that can win a Scudetto.
Zambo-Anguissa has an automatic starter for Napoli when he's fit. Yeah. He was on international break with Cameroon. He didn't get significant minutes with Cameroon nonetheless. I'm pretty sure one of those 2 games in the international break, he didn't even play. But reports are pointing that Gilmore is going to start over Zambo-Anguissa. But let's take a look at this Napoli side. When you take Neres out of the mix, because since he's been injured for the last 4 games
since February,
missed, right? He has gone, Antonio Conte, to a back 3 that looks like this, and it's a front 2 with Giacomo Raspadori and Lukaku, and there's your back line with Di Lorenzo as your right center back.
Yeah, and I was joking, Lorenzo Di Lorenzo, his twin brother that doesn't exist, but Giovanni Di Lorenzo, I like this pairing because it forces Politano to get forward, but in the final third, it's about the complementary play of Raspadori, who was one of the few bright spots for the Azzurri in that match in the second leg in the Nations League against Germany. He loves to play against Milan. I think he's been a part of 8 goals against Milano. So this is a player that loves to play against this team. In the midfield, though, Scott McTominay. Of these 3, Scott McTominay is going to be the one to get forward. Philip Billing as well, who scored against Inter. Yeah. I would actually like to see him in there. If they need to win this game, I would actually like to see Philip Billing go and start over Gilmore to get in the box, because this Milan side, they're like Swiss cheese or mozzarella in transition.
If Napoli does come out like this, there's the one thing that worries me tactically for Milan, because who's going to occupy the center backs? Is it going to be Tammy that's sitting in here by himself?
No chance.
You're done, right? Lunch money. 3 center backs was just Tammy, so where's Reinders going to float in between here? Is it Reinders? Is it Pulisic that occupies a central position to allow Kyle Walker also to get up? Because we've seen Pulisic float in those areas, but Sérgio Conceição is going to have a game plan to occupy 3 center backs when you've been playing with one striker for these last, since you've been the manager. I wonder if at one point you bring in Santi Jimenez, if it play him alongside Tammy, if things aren't going your way.
For Napoli, after this one against AC Milan, they have Bologna, and then following that, 5 of their last 8 games in Serie A are against teams in the bottom half of the table. This is a huge opportunity for them to go far now, right?
I mean, yeah, this is... the pressure's on. And push has come to shove. You can't mess up. I mean, you had such a horrific last season that you're only fighting on one front at this point. Well, obviously Coppa Italia, but Serie A, you have a real shot here. And no one looks infallible to me. I think Inter hasn't hit their ceiling. I think they're not close to their ceiling, in fact. And they have other priorities, not only Champions League, but Coppa Italia as well. So I do think they're stronger than Milan, and if you can win this and stay in the title race, this is a huge game for them. Huge.
Yeah, this is a Napoli side that the difference between what we've seen since February and what we saw was they had a psychological edge that comes from their manager, Antonio Conte. And when you have Antonio Conte, there's no option. You either win or you win. And if you don't win, you're on the bench or you're out of the club. But it can be exhausting. And as a player, when you're playing under a manager, and I remember playing under a manager, Alessandro Nesta, that used to grind us in training and grind us in matches. And by the end of the season, it was so emotionally exhausting because his will to win at some point exceeded our own. Now for these players, the international break, Romelu Lukaku, he needs to be the Lukaku that played for Belgium, that looked imperious. Yeah. The Lukaku that, as the match grew against Inter, came into it. The Lukaku against Fiorentina. In this stretch, it's been leaving me a bit wanting a bit more, but he needs help. And I think the likes of Scott McTominay and Raspadori, this has to be their coming out party.
Neres. Get Neres back to playing how he can on the left wing. Almost the Kvaratskhelia replacement. I don't think you can replace him, but from an assist perspective, playing on the left suits him really well.
Just quickly, you mentioned Antonio Conte there. Reports linking him with the AC Milan job. Master, I'll come to you on this because the managerial merry-go-round continues.
Wouldn't be Serie A without it. But you saw it before the season started, his complaints with the roster and him wanting more resources. It was classic Antonio Conte. But, he's been able to make the most of the situation. And he's done other things like with Coppa Italia when they lost to Lazio, the rotation that he was doing, prioritizing the Scudetto. All the pressure's on for him. All the pressure's on for Napoli to win the Scudetto. But it wouldn't be Antonio Conte if he wasn't able to last more than, 2 seasons? Is that a season and a half? Yeah. And so, if he goes AC Milan, maybe he gets more resources there. But it's Antonio Conte. At some point, he'll complain about that, too.